freight train rolling, bringing truth bombs down the line. We're moving the Southland 1 week at a time. We're moving the Southland 1 week at a time. SCV chat starts now.
It's 7 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, so you know what time it is. It is time for your weekly episode of SCV Chat. I'm your host for the evening, Moose, and before we get started, please remember, the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, its GC, nor in Division Brigade camps or any of the subsidiaries. We have a stacked show for you tonight, so we're just going to go ahead and jump in. I'd like to introduce our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy.
Thank you, Moose. I appreciate you giving us an opportunity to do the Confederate Legion update on SCV Chat. You're all doing a great job, and I have with me the Commander-in-Chief as well as the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief. I am totally outranked. I may outrank Moose, but only because of age, not anything else. But anyway, I do appreciate all of y'all helping out with the update. We've got a lot of things going on, and I asked, I pleaded with, I begged, didn't have to twist his arm too much, the Commander-in-Chief to come on first thing and tell us about what's going on with Arlington. There's a lot of stuff happening and a lot of information already gone out. Some more, I understand, is coming out. Some things that we've got to do as SCV members, and I didn't want to mess it up and get it incorrect. And I knew my brother wouldn't be any better than me. So I want to go straight to the horse's mouth. So, Commander, tell us what's going on with Arlington. I know you and Ed Phillips and all have been super busy.
Yes, sir, we have. And thank you, Chief of Heritage Operations, for allowing me to come on. And it's good to see you again. Mr. Don Kennedy, I will let y'all argue over which one's the smart one, which one's the good looking one. I'll just let y'all keep fighting that out. You've been doing it, what, since birth?
Before?
Okay, you were fighting it out in the womb. First thing I'd like to begin with is at 6:27 Central Time this afternoon. So you're looking at just a tick over 30 minutes ago. Rick Little, he is the one that is the chairman of the 2024 National Reunion that is happening in Charleston. And he sent me a text message and said there are less than 60 rooms left in the host hotel. So if you have not booked your room, you best get on there and book your room if you want to stay in the host hotel. Less than 60 rooms. I want to thank Rick for staying on top of this and letting me know, because I asked him, hey, let me know when it gets kind of tight. Because, we ran into the issue when we first got back from reunion. Some people couldn't get on and get a room booked. Well, they took care of that conflict, and now we've got the one we do now. You have less than 60 rooms left. So if you're going to be in Charleston, you want to stay at the host hotel, best get cracking. Now, as far as what happened in Arlington, or is happening in Arlington, at the National Reunion, Ed Phillips, he is the attorney that the General Executive Council voted to head this lawsuit that is going on in Arlington. And he mentioned there that there was a motion to transfer from Virginia to D.C. And, we filed in Virginia for a very purposeful reason. Now the judge was going to move it from Virginia to D.C., and there is no interlocutory, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, appeal. So we cannot appeal to Virginia, the decision to move it from Virginia to D.C. But at this point in time, our two lawsuits, which is the lawsuit that Sons Confederate Veterans is doing, and then there's another one from Defend Arlington. Defend Arlington filed in DC. So they're moving us from Virginia to DC. And at this point in time, the two lawsuits, they are not combined, at least not yet. On Friday, as you know, we had commander's comments on Thursday. And the only reason why I didn't talk about this on Thursday was I found out everything I'm fixing to tell you on Friday. On Friday, the DOJ filed a motion to dismiss our case. And right now we are in the process of filing a response to that. So we'll have to see how this goes, but I thought that I would let everybody know that's where we stand as of this moment concerning the lawsuit. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity that's flowing around out there. I have talked to Ed Phillips. Right now, there's 2 attorneys and a paralegal that is working on this. And there is not a foregone conclusion at this point that they're going to be taken out. The one thing that we are pretty sure of is that if we had not filed our lawsuit, it would have already been taken out. And I'm talking about the reconciliation memorial that is in Arlington. If we had not filed a lawsuit, because as you know, the NEPA wasn't done ahead of time, which they're supposed to do the NEPA ahead of time. See, there was not a lawsuit that was, the best of my knowledge, there was not a lawsuit filed to stop the renaming of the bases nor the renaming of the streets. And that is the reason why all of that has proceeded on. There wasn't a NEPA on that as well. But because the 2 lawsuits have been filed, they're having to go back and do their NEPA. And at the time when we talked about that, which I believe was in March, they said it was going to take about 8 months to do. So right now they are in their NEPA process. But there is no foregone conclusion that everything is already done, because it was a recommendation from the Congressional Naming Commission to the DOJ to remove the reconciliation memorial. It was not a do this. It was a recommendation. So that's one of the reasons why we are still alive and this is still being fought, is because it was a recommendation to do it. And it wasn't a mandate to take care of it, but it was a mandate to rename the bases and to rename the streets. And that is the reason why that has already happened, because it was not a lawsuit that was filed against it. So it is safe to say, I feel like it's safe to say, and talking with the attorneys, it's safe to say that at this point in time, the reconciliation memorial would have probably already been down if we had not filed our lawsuit. So we have, if we've done anything at all, we have halted them and make them step through the processes of what they're supposed to be doing. Now, based off what we did yesterday, as you know, this come out on Friday. I was already on a plane going to Nashua, New Hampshire to visit with and give greetings to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. And I will say they had a very good encampment in Nashua, New Hampshire. They got a lot of work done, and it was a real pleasure meeting with those men, talking to them, having great conversations. All of them that I talked to were just as upset about the removal, the possible removal of the reconciliation memorial and the renaming of the streets and bases. Almost to the man that I talked to, they were just as upset about it as we are. But the reason why we did that is I was in Nashua, New Hampshire. I got back yesterday. We already had this document prepped, and that's when we got it out, because it was a final opportunity to give comments for consideration to the advisory committee for Arlington. And they have an August 11th session. Yes, sir.
That document, was that the one that went out on the Telegraph? Yes, sir.
That was the one that went out on the Telegraph late yesterday afternoon. And you saw it on social media. You saw it on Facebook. I was already prepped. We were under the impression they were not going to go ahead and pull the trigger, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger on this. August 11th is when they're going to be having their meeting. And it was the final opportunity for comments to be submitted. And that's the reason why that we put that out and asked everybody to do that. Now, where we are right now is we are we're filing the response on the motion to dismiss. That is where we are right now. Now, What can you do? There's fixing to be 3 things that's going to be coming out. And I have worked on this with Ed Phillips. Him and I have talked an extreme amount over the last couple of weeks. Today we've text, talked, emailed, making sure we've got everything done that we can do at this point. And because of what has happened, there's going to be 3 opportunities for people to make comments. Just like we had the comments that we sent out last night, and went over through the night, you're going to have 3 more opportunities to do that. So you're going to be getting, anytime one of these comes up, the next one, the due date is September the 2nd. So we are prepping something right now that is, I'm just going to step through everything that we're doing. Right now, we have a letter prepped, and it will be going out within the next few days. It's going to go out on the Telegraph, and it's going to go out on Facebook. So you're going to have an opportunity to see it. This is a letter that we are going to ask people to print, sign, and mail to the senators that are responsible for the funding of this. So we're going to ask you, when this letter comes out, to print it, sign it, and mail it. You will have a list of the senators that this will need to go to. Now you have a choice. You can mail it to their office in D.C. Right now, they are on their August break. If I understand things correctly, they're on their August break. So you would be able to also send this to their home office. If their home office is Nashville, Tennessee, you would be able to print this letter and send it to Nashville, Tennessee, to their home office. So you're going to get these addresses, and you're going to be able to do that. Now, the content of these messages, they've been worked over by 2 attorneys and a paralegal. We have to phrase things a certain way. And we have worked on this phrasing, and I want to thank Ed Phillips and everybody that has been involved on this end. Now, with this document that we're going to send you, now you're going to be able to download it. It's going to come out on the Telegraph. It's going to come out on Facebook. If you feel the need to change it, now, my feeling is right now, I'm going to send it out just the way it is. I'm just going to sign my name to it and go. If you do change the naming of it, please be very careful about what you change, because we know that if you say anything very negative, very harsh, or use any kind of foul language, that letter is going to go straight into the trash bin, and it will never be taken for consideration. Whereas if you treat this like Southern men and Southern ladies can do, this is a piece of paper that they will receive. And we have already been told that, yes, emails are great, but if you take the time to write a letter, put a stamp on it, and get it to him, it is so much more powerful to do it that way. And we've worked on this letter, and you will be getting it here in just a few days. You will know ahead of time that you're going to be getting it. And all we're going to ask you to do is print it, sign it, and mail it. And the more, the better. This is the conversation that I had with Ed Phillips. This is the one case where volume is going to matter. You know, you mail it in. I'm going to get my mama to mail one in. Get your wife to mail one in. Pass this on to your friends. Push this out, because this is one opportunity that when they go into these sessions and they talk about it, and they have a stack of letters that's saying how people are against the removal of this, that's going to be a heavy impact. So you're going to get that, I'm told, and within a couple of days. Right now, they're combing through it one last time, and they're tailoring it to a specific deal. And once it goes out, you will get it, and we will be asking you to do this. So that's thing number one. Like I said, there's going to be 3 comment opportunities during this. The next one is due September 2nd. So you are going to be getting another form letter from us. And this one, you're going to have follow a little directions on it. because this one is actually a link that you're going to have to click on to submit your comments. So it's not going to be something you send it to an email address or something like that. And everything's going to be documented in what we're going to send you, from whether you get it off the Telegraph or you get it off social media. You're just going to take it, copy it, paste it, put it in this email, put it in this link. It's going to be a URL, and it is going to go out. Now, as we know, we're going to have 2 more opportunities to make comments. And as these dates come out, there will be new letters that are prepped depending on how things are flowing. And we're going to be asking you to do the same thing. The comment periods, 3 comment periods, are all going to be done the same. There's a link you're going to have to follow to take care of it. So that's the second thing that you're going to be doing. And that comment is probably going to be out Monday, maybe over the weekend, so we can get people flooding it on the weekend. So when they come in Monday, there's a whole list of these comments that are out there. Then there's another one. If not, you will at least have it by the middle of the week, and you'll be able to send it out by the middle of the week, depending on how much we need to tailor this, depending on how things are happening right now. And then we're going to have the last thing that you're going to be able to do and this will be next week, is the one-click politics. Now, this is going to be just like we have done before. When we did the one-click politics before, we had nearly 3,300 people respond. And that is huge. But we need 33,000 people to respond to this. What I'm telling you, volume is going to matter here. So if you get it, please do it. And please respond in kind. But this one-click politics, you're going to get it. And this one's the one that's going to go to your local politician. So your local politician knows that you're interested in preserving this. So we're going to let the senators who are responsible for the funding know. We are going to be making public comments, and we're going to be sending stuff to the local politicians. Now, you're going to be getting all of that this week to the middle of next week. Now, we've talked about this. One of the problems that we have, caveats, I'm not going to call it a problem. It's a caveat. When we start flooding our membership with stuff on the Telegraph, asking them to do something, there's a lot of people that will unsubscribe. Please don't unsubscribe. If you aren't going to do it, just delete it. But how about forwarding it on to somebody else and let them respond for it? Because if you don't want to, somebody else will. Yes, sir, Heritage Operation.
Just be careful when you forward it, because if the person you forwards it to decides to delete it or unsubscribe, then they'll unsubscribe you as well. So you just may want to copy it and send it. Don't forward what we sent to you.
That is correct. Yes, sir. So people have been asking what is going on. All of this has happened since Friday. If any of this had happened before Friday, we would have addressed it on Commander's comments, but it all started happening on Friday. We have these times and we know what we're facing with. So you're going to get at least 3 things. Well, excuse me, you're going to get at least 5 things, because you're going to get a notification for all of the 3 comments. You're going to have a letter that you can send to these senators that are responsible for the funding. And then you're going to have this one-click politics. So if you want to know what National is doing, that is what National is doing. Now, all of us on the GEC can do this, and that's going to be a grand total of 16 people. That is the reason why that we are asking the membership, when this comes out, to please go ahead and just follow through with it. Take a few minutes. We're not asking you to spend a fortune. We're not asking you to take an hour to do anything. The senator letter, click print. Everybody has a printer at home, or most people do. If not, you know somebody who does. And just, hey, a camp adjutant, you have 50 camp members. Why can't you print off 50 copies and take them to the camp meeting and get the members there to sign them? All you have to do is put a stamp on it, address it, and off it goes. So there's opportunities for us to do this. The first comment period is everything has to be due by September 2nd, midnight on September 2nd, but you're going to be dealing with this next week. So that was all that I was going to say about it. Do any of y'all have any questions or any comments? Chime in, please.
Well, just one question and one comment. You mentioned on the one click, it's going to the local politicians. By that, do you mean the local politicians or the national representatives and senators from the area?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. Thank you for being that precise. Yes. Like my representative is not on the list for the funding committee, that handles the purse strings for this. But on the one-click politics, it will go to them. It will go to my national representatives. So when they do get back together, they can say, hey, I've got this letter. Good. And we're trying to attack's a bad word. We're trying to address this as many levels as we can to get to be as effective as we can. And we're figuring right now the more stuff they get flooded with, the more that they're going to see that there is a resentment of the fact of doing this. And yes,
yeah, we're going to
I've already printed off a stack.
A comment is that for every camp member should call and make sure this is on the agenda of the next meeting. It doesn't, your next camp meeting. So even if you're I'm just a camp member, I show up about every other meeting, you call the commander and say, let's put this on the agenda. I want to hear it more discussed about it and discuss how many people in the camp have actually sent your letter. Promote this as a camp activity. Say the SCV isn't the national headquarters. It's local. It's the camps. So please put this up. If you are a camp that wants to preserve our Southern heritage, if you are a camp that wants to preserve our monuments, then put this on the agenda for your discussion. It doesn't have to take up the whole time, but it should be on the meeting agenda. This is a heritage promotion, a heritage protection issue. So make it a part of the camp discussion.
Ron, let me just interject something here, and we'll talk about this more in Texarkana at our Army of Trans-Mississippi meeting. But I've had so many people, when I tell them about these type of activities, they'll say, I didn't get in the SCV to get into politics. Well, I'm sorry. This is the fight that we've been given. General Stonewall Jackson was probably the most dynamic Christian general that any army has ever had. He would never fight a battle on Sunday if he could get out of it. Somebody asked him one time, why are you fighting on Sunday? This is the Lord's Day. And he said, well, the enemy forced us to fight. And when the enemy forces us to fight, then it is not something that goes against our religious ideas. The same thing is true. I didn't join the SCV back in the 1980s to get into all this political stuff. But this is the battle that we have been handed. The enemy has given this to us. If we do not engage them and engage them correctly and vigorously, they will demolish all of our heritage and nothing will be safe, not even those of us who wear these little lapel pins and whatever, whichever side it's on. All of that will be gone. So we have to engage the enemy in the battle that they have given us. We didn't go out seeking this. And I just want to make that clear.
No, and you are so correct. It goes back to the Jefferson Davis deal. If they would have just left us alone.
That's right.
I don't want to do this. I don't. And nothing personal against Ed Phillips. I think the world of the guy. I do. But talking with attorneys, it's not the most pleasant thing, because they use words and he can pronounce the interlocutory agreement correctly, and because he has said it and he has used it. I'm just going to be honest. I don't really see this as a political issue. And I'm going to tell you why. I know that we're dabbling in the political sphere because
Right.
we're contacting our representatives. However, and I'm not saying but, however, what about Stephen D. Lee's charge?
That's right. That's right.
It is, doesn't it tell us to defend the Confederate soldier's good name, to guard his history and to emulate his virtues and to perpetuate the principles which he loved and which you love also, and those ideas which made him glorious, which you also cherish. I'm defending, I took that oath. When I was sworn into the SCV, I took that oath. And I'm defending. Now, I'm defending in a political arena, but I'm still defending. It didn't say anywhere in that charge where I was supposed to defend. It just told me to defend.
Right.
And that's all I'm doing. I don't want to do all of this. I don't want to be involved in this lawsuit. I don't want to go to court. I don't want to have to fight all of this. But we just can't let it happen. And we know from how the bases have been renamed and the streets have been renamed, what would have happened if we hadn't have done anything. But now that we have done something, not all is lost as long as we can still fight. And we're fighting. But we need our membership to increase the volume, because I'm a commander-in-chief, but I'm not the SCV. These two gentlemen on here, they're not the SCV. All of us, all 28,000 plus members are the SCV. And we're going to have to stand and fight as one, whether you like me or not, or you like the idea of a lawsuit, or, you still have to defend, and I'm defending. That's how I see it. I don't see this as a political fight. I am keeping the vow that I took.
And it's important for our people to understand, because every now and then you get the thing, well, this is going to threaten our 501c3. No, that's I've read very carefully the rules and regulations. We can do anything to promote the cause for which the mission for which we were set up as a not-for-profit organization. We cannot engage in direct politics. That is, we cannot endorse candidates or invite candidates to come to our meetings and speak unless we invite all of the candidates. So no, we can't run as, hey, I'm Ron Kennedy, Chief of Heritage Operation, and I'm running for governor of Louisiana, and elect me, because no, I can't do that. That would threaten our 501c3 status. Now, that being said, I'll guarantee you the people in the left of center people are looking at ways to attack all conservative 501c3s, including our churches. We're at right at 7:30. Moose, if you want to take a Pop-Tart break, Commander, thank you very much for giving us this update. It's very important.
Right
Donnie,
before leave. Yeah, I just need a point of clarification from the commander. When will this comment, this secondary comment, we did the first to this morning, the process start, and when will it end? Okay.
This first one, the one that went out, we've got the letter that is going to be coming next that you're going to mail to your senator. You will have that by the end of the week.
End of the week.
Then you're going to have that by the end of the week. That's the one that I'm planning on bringing to Texarkana. And then, we can do everything from there. Then you're going to have the public comments that's due by September 2nd. You're going to have them Monday, Tuesday, first part of next week. And then the one-click politics will probably be 2 or 3 days later. So you're going to have, from the ending part of this week, for about a week, you're going to get 3 different things from us.
Good. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that was clear in everybody's mind, especially this old mind here. Thank you a lot, Commander. Appreciate you.
Yes. Thank y'all for having me.
Well, and you can stick around. We've got 30 minutes or more of program left, but we're going to let Moose do a Pop-Tart break and come in with maybe some advertisement of people who are promoting this organization.
All right. Well, as always, tonight's Pop-Tart break has been sponsored by the Kennedy twins' newest book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government. Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government is how about Jefferson Davis was a leader to the high road to emancipation. He looked for a day in which slaves would be prepared to live and participate in society. He did more, though, than advocate for this high road to emancipation. He practiced his beliefs in the ultimate emancipation of Southern slaves, and many of his former slaves left for prosperity, and their testimony about their former master prepared them to be self-sustaining members of society. You can get this new great book that the Kennedy twins have written at most online bookstores and www.kennedytwins.com. Again, www.kennedytwins.com, and we want to thank the Kennedy twins for sponsoring tonight's Pop-Tart Break.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost. Stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
We want to thank the Kennedy twins again for sponsoring tonight's Pop-Tart Break with their newest book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, available at www.kennedytwins.com and most online bookstores, including SCV.org, and visit Beauvoir.org. And without further ado, Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, take it away.
All right, we got a few things we want to cover. First of all, I do want to tell everybody about the data on the Southwide poll that we sent out, that the SCV paid for, commission. And I really want to get this information out, but one of the things that's stopping us, excuse me, one of the things stopping us is the fact that we don't want to step on the stuff that's going out for Arlington. So we keep pushing our deadline to get this information out until we can get this Arlington affair behind us. But what we'll be doing is, and I've had my copy somewhere and I don't have it with me, but anyway, we have a complete copy that we sent to all the GEC members, voting members on the GEC. I will be sending out shortly after the Arlington stuff is finished, so we won't flood the wires with things to do. I know we can overtax our people, and we don't want to do that. But I will be sending out all the information on the state to each division commander. So the division commander of, say, Missouri is going to get from me an e-copy of the results of his state. How many or what percentage of the conservative voters in your state, Missouri, wants to see their politicians to do more to protect traditional American values, including Southern heritage and Southern values. And that poll, again, ran anywhere from 83 to 93%. So it's very favorable. We need to get that information out. I'm going to send it to the camp commanders. The camp commander, then I'll send it to the division commander. Thank you, Donald, for shaking your head. Division commander, I'm asking the division commander to send an e-copy to each one of his camp commanders, and we'll have little verbiage for you, a short 5-line paragraph, an e-copy of it that you can then ask the camp members to send to every elected local official. That's why I was asking the commander about local official, because this is aimed not at Washington, this is aimed at hometown, the local area. Every conservative elected official, from dog catcher all the way to the governor, if you're lucky enough in your state, not in Louisiana, to have a conservative, but if you have a conservative elected official, send him a copy, but send all of them. Send not just from the camp, but from every camp member.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be coming out, and with it, I'll have the reason why and the procedure. It'll all be ready, and we'll send it out to you. Donald, you got any comments on that?
Yeah, just quickly, I want to emphasize what Ron's saying. This is for the camps. If each camp, I'm going to just take Louisiana. I'm sitting here in Louisiana. If every one of our camps would take in their local area this information, see to it that every politician that calls himself a conservative or a moderate gets this information, just think of the talk around the state of Louisiana that this is going to generate. It's going to say, boy, these SCV people, I got a letter from them. And my Lord, look, the people are 90% in favor of what these SCV people are in favor of. It makes them question, should I back BLM and Antifa, or should I back the people who elected me? So what Ron is saying is so very important. It has to be done by the camp. And if we get all the camps doing this, man, we're going to flood the state and we can turn some heads.
Great. And that's the whole idea, because until the politicians realize that we are active, they're not going to pay any attention to us. And it's very important, because not only will the politicians find out about it, but the money people who give them money to buy influence will hear about it, and they don't want to lose their investment. Okay, so they're going to say, don't get rid of that monument, because these people that want to keep it by 83 to 93%, they all are my customers, and I don't want to end up being in the situation that Bud Light found itself in. All right, the next thing I have on my list is a form I'm putting together. I've got the form ready, and I've got to talk to Dean at our webmaster. I have a form that I want to get every SCV member to take a look at and fill it out. What it is, I'm gathering up a list of friendly media. So, for instance, I'm going to use Ouachita Parish up where Donald lives. They've got a weekly newspaper up there, the Ouachita Citizen, that's very friendly to us. Now, there's newspapers like that all across the South. There's hundreds of them, I'm sure, but I don't know who they are. But you people at the local level, So all you do, you go on the SCV Confederate Legion website, and it'll be posted. It's not posted yet. It'll be posted, and you can fill it out online. What I'm asking Dean to do for us is to post it in a manner that you can populate the information online, hit enter, and it goes to our email, Confederate Legion email address, and that's it. It's done deal. You don't have to print it off, fill it out, mail it in. It'll all be done right there on site. So it's going, again, like everything, it takes a while. And Dean is a good webmaster, but he's working part-time, and we can overload him. But that's what we're working on. So listen, it's not just for the newspapers, but it's also for the radio. If you have a talk radio DJ in your area on your local radio station that's really good, I need his information or her information so I can know how to contact them. And again, using Louisiana as an example, we have one fellow who is really good conservative, Moon Gerfont. Matter of fact, he's Donald, hadn't he set in for Bongino once or twice?
Yeah, Dan Bongino. Yes.
Yeah. So he is definitely on our side. He's one of us. He's a conservative. See, there's people like that, DJs like that across the South. I don't know who they are. I know 2 here in Louisiana, but that's the only 2 I know. So if I get their information, I can get information directly to them. Also, local podcasters. I'll give you an example. There's a gun range here that I go to every now and then. They also sell guns, of course, weapons, not guns, weapons. But they have a range. But they also have a podcast. They do a podcast for conservative, Second Amendment issues. We need to know how many. There's people like that all across, and they may not have but 100, 200, 500 people that listen to them, but that's 200 or 500 people that we could get in touch with or we can make contact with. And Donald, how much? Well, here's the whole idea. Once we get this, and say the Commander-in-Chief wants to issue a news release, we can issue it to the APUPI like the old-fashioned way. We can send it to various news, but they won't take it. I mean, they ignore us. So if I have this list of friendly media people, I can take that and mail it out or email it to every one of them. Now, not all of them will carry it, but a lot will. And it'll be a lot more than what we've got now. And Donald, we're talking about thousands upon thousands of eyeballs reading our news release. And how much will that cost the SCV?
Ooh, it's going to cost us a ton of money. It's going to be a $ with a bunch of zeros in front of it and behind it. It won't cost us anything, Ron. And if we don't utilize this, it's going to cost us our heritage. So we need to utilize these things. So can I just say one quick thing on your podcast or your radio programs? Hey, we've got hundreds of good people out there. When you hear an issue come up on the radio, pick up that phone and say, I'm Jim Brown. I'm with the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and we don't think that this has happened. What's happening to our heritage is correct, and it's un-American, and the Sons of Confederate Veterans is opposed to this, and we're asking you to get involved and tell the politicians, leave our monuments alone, or whatever the issue may be. How much did that cost the SCV? How much did that cost the individual that made the phone call? Nothing. Folks, we have to circumvent the neo-Marxist control of education and the media, and that includes the neocons out there. Ron, I'm not going to get into it, but there's one neocon out there that I heard him on the radio the other day. I almost shot my truck when I heard it. I had to get out and start saying ugly things, but he was talking about how horrible the Democratic Party was here in the United States today. And after all, it was a party of slavery and the Confederacy, and nobody should respect any of that. So Mark Levine is one of the people that I despise more than anybody else of the neocon talking head. 90% of what he says is true, but when he gets on the Southern history, he is so wrong. We need a method of countering that type of activity. So I'm sorry, Ron, I'll get off my soapbox right quick. But he did make me mad, that Mark Levine.
Well, when you see him and you see he's got that bust of Abe Lincoln in the background, you that's all you need to know. That's all.
He ain't a smart guy.
Yeah, but this is very important. This media, SCV friendly media, and it's people that are friendly or potentially friendly. And again, we'll have, and this is going to be one of the things I'm going to send out on a Confederate Legion newsletter, and we'll post it on the SCV chat. But I mean, we'll talk about it on that too, but on the Telegraph. But again, I can't flood everything right now. We got to get Arlington done first, and then we'll put some of these other things out. But this, by the end of the year, we've got to have, my goal is to have at least 2 Confederate-friendly media sites in every state in the Confederation. So, you know, if you're in Michigan and you got someone, send us somebody, you know. But I know it's on me and Dean to get the stuff, the form on the SCV Confederate Legion website. Let's see, Donald, I do have here, I've been working with the Missouri folks there, and the Confederate Legion is working with them to run a series of ads, radio ads. So they've done this for a couple years straight now, and they've been real active. And it is so important. Again, these ads may not bring in a flood of new members, but it puts politicians on notice, and it encourages the public to have a good, strong feeling about their Southern heritage. Again, as this opinion poll showed, 83 to 93% already have that love for the South. We just need to encourage it and to cultivate it. Now, Donald, I believe we're going to be updating those ads, because what I've got right now on the Confederate Legion website is, well, it's got to go. Okay. Yeah. That's all I say. We got to have the newer and better stuff on it.
Well, I've made contact with an unreconstructed voice of the Confederacy, and he has said that he would assist us in redoing our ads so that it'll be more appropriate, and we can label each ad so people know. For example, we're coming up on Thanksgiving. We need to have our ads labeled the first Thanksgiving, so people can pick that up and hear those ads. They can post them on their social media and take that ad down to the radio station and run it for a week. And so each of those will be done. And again, it's all a matter. Unfortunately, we don't have a big staff at headquarters that we can call them up and say, Jason, Commander in Chief, and say, hey, look, we need to get this done. No, we have to do it ourselves. I've got the gentleman in Mississippi. I've got gentlemen in South Louisiana. I've got somebody way up there in Tennessee that we've got to deal with. So, we're all working together, but we can get this done, and we'll get it on the website where it'll be the Confederate Legion website. Now, I want to give a shout out to at least 3 good groups division. That's the Missouri division, the Virginia division, and the North Carolina division, because within those groups there, they have really done far and above anybody else in any other division as far as running these ads, getting out the Dixie Defenders for us. And they have really bent over backwards. If every division would follow suit, we can have a great impact in this country. And we've got to let the folks who already have positive feelings about the South, a lot of times they feel like they're the only one that feels that way. But when they hear driving down the road, driving home, they hear an ad for the Sons of Confederate Veterans talking about positive things, all of a sudden you patted that gentleman or lady on the back, and they're going to stick with us. You're also convincing this younger generation, hey, I haven't been taught in school that. I need to learn a little bit more. And then the politicians here, and that's when you really start striking gold, because these politicians begin to realize those Sons of Confederate Veterans, they are very active. And if we go against what they like, and they've got 85 to 90% of the people on their side, why, we might lose an election. And, for a politician, he'd rather lose his wife or girlfriend than lose an election.
Well, at least his wife. But anyway. All right. Well, that's great. And again, kudos to the Missouri division. And I'm really looking forward to getting the website set up with these newer, updated ads with a good voice. And Donald, can we say who we've got committed to doing the voiceover?
Well, I've got, yes, the Moose's daddy.
Yeah. Forrest Dawes is going to be doing
Yes.
doing the voiceover, and he's got a great baritone voice.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if it's
Absolutely.
baritone or bass. I don't know, but great voice for it. We've got to find a studio somewhere close to where is it? Waynesboro, so Hattiesburg.
Yeah, Waynesboro. Almost. Yeah, Waynesboro. Almost in Alabama, as you remember.
Yeah, well, I remember
Waynesboro,
well, but I
Mississippi.
know it's close to Hattiesburg as well. But we've got to find a studio, and the Confederate Legion money will be paying for the studio time. It's not free, but we'll also have the correct ending on it where it'll say the SCV ConfederateLegion.org. We've moved away or moving away from MakeDixieGreatAgain.org. All right, let's see. Also, there's a potential, and we talked, Jason, I believe you and I talked about this when we was up in Virginia. The folks up in Virginia did a great job with the billboard campaign in April on Confederate History Month. And I think they had, 10 billboards across the state? So, and it wasn't that expensive. So I've got, even today, I've got feedback from a gentleman in Virginia who used to be the Heritage, Chief of Heritage promotions years back, but he has some contact with the billboard company. It's a possibility if the division commanders want to do it, raise enough money. It's going to cost between $10,000 and $15,000, as I recall, but raise that money, and we'll put these billboards come April, Confederate History Month, all across the South. And Commander, didn't you say that just one camp putting up one billboard somewhere helped them get? Tell us that story right quick. It's not tell us the incident.
Oh, yes, sir. The camp in Pensacola, Florida, won the Nathan Bedford Forrest Award for having the most new members. And they undertook a task along with the Florida Division of putting up billboards in their area. And I just thought it was kind of coincidental that they put up billboards in their area. And then they come and they win the Nathan Bedford Forrest Award for having the most new members. Now, I know there's such a thing as coincidences. I don't think this was a coincidence. I think this was just a result of a lot of good men starting to do a task, and it worked. It's that simple.
And it brings enthusiasm in the camp. It gives you something to talk about. Hey, did y'all see our billboard? No, what will? But take a look at it when you go by. It just gives you an opening to, instead of just what is it like? They say cold turkey, trying to go and sell vacuum cleaners by knocking on doors.
Yes.
But this is a lot easier and a good way to do it. So anyway, I want to throw that out to all the division commanders. I'm going to mention at the AOT meeting as well. But it's something that if we want to do it, we got to get started on it. And I think National would be behind us on it. And
I am. Yes, sir. That's something I believe in.
I would just love to see the South covered with, and I know 10 billboards across the state of Louisiana. Across in Louisiana, that'd be great. In Texas, well, that it wouldn't be as much, but still, Texas might want to buy more than that, more than $10,000, $15,000 worth. But it would, if we could do a bundle deal with the national billboard company, it would be a terrific thing to do. And I think it would really put the politicians on notice. Absolutely. All right, let's see. Another thing, again, it came from the same gentleman from Virginia. They're in the middle of a political campaign, and the politicians are having what we'd call town hall meetings. And what he did, he said he bought up a bunch of Make Dixie Great Again red hats, the caps. It's got Make Dixie Great Again on it, or the lettering for it. And they go to these meetings wearing these hats, and they spread out across, so it looks like it's all across. And so you got 10 or 20 or or 30 people with these caps on, and we're not there as the SCV. Matter of fact, it doesn't say anything about SCV. It says Make Dixie Great Again. And it's very similar to another politician. I won't call any names, red cap, So it has really created a lot of talk for them, and it puts the politicians on notice. Hey, look, these people, they mean business. They're serious. So we might want to make sure we do not step on their rights and that we support Southern heritage. And I would like to take that one step further. Now, you can do a red cap, or you can do a SCV shirt, with your logo on the shirt. We don't want you to go there with a Confederate flag cape on. Okay. That's overkill. And it just doesn't look good. But a cap or a t-shirt, and if you have 15, 20 people show up, well, every one of our congressmen have town hall meetings, and we need to be there with our caps on, or with our logo shirt on, and we need to get on the agenda, ask them. So if you got 15 or 20 people there, one of you going to be able to get up and ask them the question. I'm so-and-so and so-and-so. I am a strong believer in Southern heritage. And I just want to know what you are doing to prevent them from destroying our heritage like they're doing to the Reconciliation Monument in Arlington. And by the way, why did you vote to fund this whole thing?
Yeah.
You're not engaged in political activity. You're engaged in social contract that we all have a right as citizens to do. And you're there with your cap on or your logo on. And everywhere that guy goes or that gal goes, there's some of us there. So because we got camps in every one of his districts, every one of his areas, and we should be there asking the question. And the same person doesn't need to ask the question at every meeting. So anyway, that's just an idea that I'm throwing out.
Yeah.
I think it's on Donald. You got something on that?
Yeah, well, I want to follow up on what you said. I live in one of the most gerrymandered districts in Louisiana. It goes from the Arkansas line almost down to the Gulf Coast and east and west. It's just ridiculous. But interesting enough, there's probably about 5 or 6 SCV camps every. We could get our people organized when Jim Johnson goes to a town hall meeting in Natchitoches, going to Texas, to Natchitoches or Monroe, or he goes down to Leesville. He'll see somebody with our cap or our logo. And remember, you don't go there representing the Sons of Confederate Bay. You represent it. You are a private citizen. You just happen to have our logo on you. And you go there and ask an intelligent question. And like Ron said, you tell him what you believe. Say, well, listen, we have a national poll and a statewide poll that proves that Southern conservatives believe 97% in favor of what we say. Why did you vote so-and-so? And when will you turn around and fight against this neo-Marxist attack on all traditional American values, especially Southern values? If we can do that, folks, we can shake up the establishment. And that's what we got to do. And like I said, I didn't join the SCV to do this. This is a battle the enemy has given us, and we must engage them or just surrender. Which one you want to do?
Well, I ain't a quitting, and I know Commander-in-Chief ain't a quitting, and I know you're not going to quit. So anyway, we're right at quitting time, and guess what? I'm down to number 7. The last thing is on my list is the ATM workshop that's coming up Saturday. Donald and I will be there, and I believe the Commander-in-Chief is also going to be there.
Eric?
So I'm urging everybody in the Trans-Mississippi who can possibly make it. It's in Texarkana. We'd love to see you there. We're going to have a great time. We're going to get a lot accomplished. Eric Pavetti, I believe, is going to be there, do some adjutant type training. Well worth your day, well spent, time well spent. And they say I've done the Army of Tennessee, and now I'm doing the Army of Trans-Mississippi. Still waiting on a possibility of doing something in the Army of Northern Virginia. Donald, you got anything you want to add to that?
Nothing except just let folks realize this is not a rah-rah speech, throw down on the Yankees. This is a workshop. We're going to learn and swap information with each other. I'm not an expert, but we'll have a room full of people, and all of us together, we are expert at what we're doing here. And we're going to see how do we do some of the things that the Commander-in-Chief has been talking about this today, what Ron's been talking about. We're going to get into the more of the minutia of how this is done so we can affect a real change in Dixie. We're going to take back the narrative like Commander Paul Grambling said many years ago, and it's left up to us to do it, and we can do it.
All right. Well, with that, I think we've run out of time, but you are right. It's not any one of us. It's all of us together. A little trite management term, slogan they used to throw out at all the meetings. And I thought it was silly, but it's still true. None of us are as smart as all of us. And that's true in the SCV. None of us are as smart as all of us. And that's what we're counting on. Folks, we're 8:01. We're 1 minute past time. We gave the Commander-in-Chief plenty of time, and I believe we rushed through our quick agenda. Thank you, Commander, for coming on and sharing that information. I look forward to seeing you in Texarkana. And Donald, I'll see you Thursday night, and we'll get up Friday morning and drive to. Funny thing, it's a shorter drive from Donald's house to Texarkana. Texarkana, it's Arkansas, isn't it?
It's Texas. We'll be in Texas. Be on the border.
I know it's on the
Texas
border. I didn't remember which side it was. I've been through it several times. But anyway, it's a shorter drive from his house to Texarkana than it is from my house to his house. It's about 2 hours longer from my house to his house. So we'll be on the road again. With that, I believe we're finished. Moose, you can take it away. Thank all of you, and y'all have a great Dixie afternoon.
Thank you, Chief of Heritage Operations. Make sure to share this episode out, people. Let's spread the message, and make sure to tune in this Thursday for Look Around the Confederation, where we'll have the Army of Tennessee Commander Jimmy Hill on and to give us an Army of Tennessee update. So make sure to tune in, 7 p.m. Confederate time. And again, we will see y'all Thursday.